You've met Ermey?
You met him, yeah?
I got his autograph last time he was in studio.
Oh, in here?
Wait, you were in that day?
Yeah, when he came. That was over.
That was many years ago.
That was over across the street.
At least 5-6 years ago.
You guys were doing good then when he was in.
That's hurtful.
That's not hurtful. You guys are you kidding me?
He's in the Army.
You're probably
Who say it?
I'm saying you're probably the most respected radio host in the business. Every radio host talks about
wonderful.
you. That's true. Well, you don't like being respected by your peers?
Who talks about us?
Tell us, what do they say?
Yeah, and what do they say? What are some of the nice things they say?
There you go. We listen to them all the time. I mean, they're usually like the producers or the assistants. And stuff.
Wow, that's great.
No, the sports junkies love you guys.
Oh, yeah, we like those guys.
Well, why don't you look at Jim when you're saying that? You're just looking at Jim.
Because
here he comes.
Here he is. Arlie Ermey.
Because Jim's at a whole nother level than
That's still got quite a presence about him as he walks down the hallway.
Yeah. How old is this guy now?
Wherever he goes.
Got to be 40.
He's got to take your seat.
I'll look it up real fast. Arlie.
Yeah, you can move over. Rich, I think you got to bounce over one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Move,
It's like the Tonight Show, you know?
Yeah.
You move. There he is.
Arlie Ermey.
Gunny.
Gunny.
God damn, Arlie Ermey.
You're looking great.
Pleasure to see you again.
You are looking fantastic.
He looks like the
sir.
sergeant from Stripes.
What?
How you
God
doing?
damn.
Rich Voss.
That's Rich Voss.
Last comic standing, BET.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, that's Private Snowball.
What's going on,
All
Arlie?
right. Good to have you back. Whoa. What's fantastic to have you back. You were here quite a while ago. And you look at you. You looks fantastic. What the hell?
You look great, Arlie.
You still a lot of PT? What are you doing?
I do. I go out and run a little bit. I like to. I'll watch. Tune in O'Reilly Factor, and I'll get on the treadmill, and that's my hour.
Oh, a little O'Reilly.
So it's good.
There you go.
I get educated.
I hear you.
Find out what's going on in the world and stay fit.
See what's going on.
Anyway, it gets harder. As
it doesn't rile you up. You don't look at the TV and go, "What the hell is going on with this world?"
I'm pretty burned up about the veterans, the treatment of the veterans, and
at the VA hospitals,
the Veterans Administration,
unbelievable.
The boys up on the hill. You know whose fault that is? It's not the little underfunded hospital's fault, for Pete's sakes. It's the funders. It's the people up there. I believe they call him the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And you know, if you want to point fingers, that's the guy. He's the boss. He's the one.
It always goes uphill. You got to look at the top to see who's supposed to be responsible for this. Any of the veterans that are treated like that, having to wait for medical attention at these VA hospitals, it's unconscionable. You can't even fathom that happens in this country.
And we don't want anything free.
No.
We just want what was promised to us, our contract.
Right.
And we've shed blood for this country, and we expect the other end to hold up their end of the deal. But, you know, there was a time a few years back when we were all extremely proud of our Veterans Administration and our veterans hospitals. But now they're so underfunded. Let's face it, this war's been going on for how many years now?
Yeah,
and so their workload has doubled and tripled and quadrupled, and the budget just hasn't kept.
What are they not giving them that they're supposed to give them?
Treatment.
The treatment?
Yeah, they're supposed to keep them alive. We had 40 some of them die waiting
for treatment.
That's horrible. Do you blame a lot of it on our president now?
You know what? I don't want to go there because that's not my place. But what I will say is, you know, the veterans are joining together. We're banding together. There's a lot of American veterans in this country. And in November, our voice will be heard. Trust me on that. But anyway, hey, guys, I'm releasing a new show on the Sportsman Channel. And it's called Saving Private K-9.
Saving Private K-9.
It's about working dogs, about military dogs, dogs that serve in combat. dogs, police, military, and police dogs, and it's service dogs. And this is America. We love our dogs in America.
Yes, we
Sure
do.
do.
Is there anybody in this room doesn't own a dog?
Aren't they amazing too?
You don't like
I'm
dogs,
getting a
Keith?
puppy.
I had a friend tell me the other day
He doesn't like dogs.
I'm
I've
getting
had a
one
lot
for
of
my
bad
daughter.
experiences with dogs.
My dog was stolen. My dog. I had a German Shepherd, and it
Especially the
was
working.
Yeah.
I had a guy tell me the other day.
Keith
he
doesn't
said,
like the working dogs.
Yes, we have Michael Vick in the corner here. Let's talk to him about that.
We call it the peanut butter incident.
I had a buddy of mine tell me the other day, he said, you lock your wife and your dog in the trunk of the car.
Sure.
Let them stay in there an hour and then let them out. See who's happy to see you.
Oh, wow.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, for sure.
They are quite amazing. We've seen a lot of the police dogs here at work in
don't like
Manhattan.
them.
And they
Don't like the police dogs.
Do they growl immediately?
And, bomb sniffing dogs, drug sniffing dogs, walking down the sidewalk,
black
checking the
sniffing
trucks. And it's what they can be taught,
I'm a dog.
how they can be trained, and then the affection they have for their masters. It's really amazing to watch.
And the thought is, why send a human being in to risk his life into a building to take down the bad guy when we can send a dog in and he's more efficient? I mean, how many soldiers do you know that run inside the building and grab the perpetrator and bite him?
Yeah.
None of them, right?
That
Before
is,
the old dog
he
shows
does,
up.
No,
but
the
it's
dogs
a
do that.
It's a psychological effect that dogs have. Now, a couple of our shows, we've had these working dog and his handler be in a Humvee or something, and IED hit them, and they're wounded, and the dog gets medevac one way, and the handler gets medevac the other way. The handler spends 5 years looking for his dog because he can't find his dog, and there's a love affair. Because the dog has saved this guy's life 2 or 3 times in combat. And we bring them together. We find the dog, and we will reunite those two. And I'm in the room with the dog and his old ex, his old handler, his old owner, and I look over at my camera guy, and there's tears streaming down the cheeks. My sound guy's over there with a big box of Kleenex. He's got a pile of Kleenex.
What are you working
Gotta
for?
get
The
a new crew, bunch
What are you
of
working for?
pussies.
The Bravo Network?
It's all I can. It's very emotional.
Wow.
A man and his dog is very emotional, and it's hard for me to maintain my composure.
Wow.
Right.
But I have a
And I'm
question.
pretty hardcore.
I have a question. There's people, though, that are such animal rights activists that would be against sending dogs into a building, that would rather send humans into a building, and which I think they're a little extreme, some of those animal rights activists.
A little? I know. Those are the same nitwits that don't want to send a UAV in to bomb the bad guys. They want to send a human being in so that the human being can die. I don't have too much use for some of those uninformed, uneducated losers in this world. I just don't have any use for them. And
Boss,
if they were
you
sitting
can
right
leave.
here in front of me, I would tell them that I have no use for them. But, so shame on them. Hey, how do we find the Sportsman Channel? We're going to go to
God, I have no idea.
SportsmanChannel.com.
Sportsmanchannel.com.
And feed your zip code in there, and it'll tell you what channel to go to.
I know.
So-
I have FiOS, and I get it where I am, so I'll be watching
You
that.
could also, with new smart TV.
My grandfather from World War I.
Then why are you wearing it?
Huh?
What are you doing wearing your grandfather's
Yes,
stuff?
I'm white.
Grandfather's
God.
dog
World
tag.
War
The old
I.
round dog tag. That's cool.
That is old.
neat.
That's how we connect.
But he fought for Germany.
The show is on tonight at 8:30.
Okay, we'll find it.
Tonight at 8:30.
8:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
And we're showing 2 shows back to back. So it's a great time for you to come on board with us and judge whether you're going to like the show or
I
not.
can't imagine anybody
But
not
get-
liking the fact of watching dogs, loyal dogs working for the soldiers and police in this country.
I
Amazing.
just say give us a fair chance.
Absolutely.
I think the show is amazing. I've been working on the show now for just short of a year.
Right.
And I tell you, it's a heartstringer. This thing is, you get emotional. There's every emotion you could imagine. So I think this show is going to be a blockbuster.
I've liked everything you've done. You pop up on TV all the time. I loved, Mail Call and all the other shows you've been on. You're always very interactive with the military when you're on these shows, and they let you drive tanks and fly in helicopters. Mail Call was great.
I had fun doing Mail Call, and my thought
Jimmy likes Mail Call, but it's a whole different subject.
He's implying that I'm not gay at all.
No,
I'm not. He's thrilled.
I'm not.
Episode of She-Mail Call.
But when he takes a picture with you,
by their sexual preference,
of course not, right?
I have mine. And all I say, if you're gay, that's just that much more for me, buddy.
The way you think. Wise man.
Well, Jim says it in reverse. If you're not gay, it's just more for me, buddy.
I'm not gay.
But of course
I'm not gay. I just like ladies with a little extra.
Oh, my God.
What is Arlie thinking?
Guys, you got to give the show a fair try. Get on
Back to the show.
She's starting to think I'm on the Howard Stern show.
No, he's not.
He has listeners.
Damn, Rich.
Doesn't say a lot for you.
Yeah, exactly, Rich.
I know. Arlie's great because he knows what his mission is.
Absolutely.
And he goes in. That's right. And that's his job.
I am absolutely stolen to them. They're just teasing me.
I was trying to keep you guys on point.
Yes, on point.
What do you think?
Exactly.
Well, let's ask Arlie. What do you think of a lady that has just a little extra?
We're saying that girls with penises a lot of times.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, a little extra.
They're delightful,
Well,
don't ask, don't tell.
As I said, I'm not one to judge. We all.
Just a little extra,
Jim likes to improvise, adapt, overcome.
Absolutely. Like I said, there's more of the kind I like.
Right.
There's more left over at the end of the day.
There's no problem with that, right?
As long as they're the same race.
Can I ask a Full Metal Jacket question?
Yeah.
How was Kubrick to you?
Oh, I loved Kubrick. Kubrick was a wonderful guy. His only the reason a lot of actors couldn't get along with Kubrick was because he made them perform. He made them rise to his level, or it was not acceptable. You would do it over again.
How many?
You want to know what makes him perform? Pull down your zipper.
Jesus! Wow! It's a well-respected man here.
Arlie, just a little extra. A little extra.
Sportsman Channel, come on.
So we're going to measure up here.
Right, yeah, measure up.
So he would expect a lot out of this guy.
How many takes? He's legendary for making you guys do the same scene over and over.
The most takes I ever did was 7, and that was
not bad. That's
I
easy.
am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, the senior drill instructor. I that big walk around the barracks.
Sure, that's a one shot
the most
right there.
dialogue of anybody and most movement, constant movement.
Right.
It was 7 takes. Then you got these guys, these actors that'll go on Good Morning America and admit to 36 million housewives that it took them 40 takes to rise to the occasion, to rise to Stanley Kubrick's standards. Shame on them. That's all I can.
Wow. Yes. Because that is a long dialogue that you have right there.
Do you still remember it?
Dialogue.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Were you saying that before the
Want to
movie?
hear it? I'd do it in about 10 seconds.
Yeah. Can you do it to Rich Voss?
And I can do it without the swear words. Yeah.
No, use the swear
You
word.
can swear if you
I
want.
am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. I am your senior drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to. The first and last word out of your filthy sewers will be sir. Do you maggots understand that?
Yes.
Bull feathers, I can't hear you. Sound off like you have a pair. If you ladies leave my island, if you survive recruit training, you will be a weapon. You will be a minister of death praying for war. But until that day, you are pukes, you are scumbags. You are the lowest form of life on earth. You are not even human beings. You are nothing but a lot of little unorganized, grabastic pieces of civilian poop.
Shit.
Well, there could be kids listening.
Yeah, we hope so.
And you know their parents would never talk like that.
Their parents don't talk to them anyhow. Did you start off, did you go to acting class and stuff, or did you just right into it?
Now, I played cowboys when I was a little boy, and I used to always be the bad guy. You see, so I had all the practice in the world. I grew up on a farm in Kansas. The nearest neighbors were about a mile away, so we had no one to play with. I had 5 brothers, though.
Oh, okay.
So that was my playmates were my brothers. We were 1 year apart, and we would play cowboys all the time. And so that was my practice time. And then when I went in the Marine Corps, I was an instructor most of the time. So you know, I'm standing up on the stage and I'm addressing 1,000 recruits, and
there is a certain persona you have to put on, right?
You basically have to be a stand-up comedian in order to maintain.
Well, there's none of them here.
So anyway, after I got Marine Corps retired me out in 1972 out of Vietnam, and I was standing outside. I had almost 12 years in, and I found myself standing outside of the gate of the Marine Corps recruit depot in San Diego, thinking, what? All I owned in the world was in that sea bag, that little green bag. I didn't even have a car. And so
I called my wife's purse.
What the hell am I going to do now? I wrote a script, and I went up to Hollywood, and I did some of the comedy clubs. And
you did?
Yeah, I did that.
You were
for
doing
a while.
stand-up?
Yeah, I did stand-up. Nobody heckled me. I'll guarantee you that.
But you will laugh at me.
You will laugh. That's right.
You will laugh. You will not cry.
You over there in the corner. Why are you not laughing? But then I went to Okinawa, Japan, opened a couple of bars up. So right outside the Marine base in Camp Hansen. Then I heard they were going to start doing Vietnam War shows. So I went to the Philippines and met the right people. And just everything fell into place. I say it's God's will.
You were in Apocalypse Now. In Apocalypse Now, yeah. You were one of the copter guys.
I was a helicopter pilot.
Yeah,
I was
helicopter
number 2
pilots.
technical advisor.
And a technical advisor. And then Boys and Company C?
Boys and Company C, I went to work on Boys and Company C right after I finished Full Metal Jacket, or right after I finished Apocalypse.
Now.
Sidney J. Fury directed that movie, and that was my big break.
You had a big part in that one,
I had a nice part in that.
Yeah.
Were you in Brokeback Mountain?
What?
What? Wow, Rich. What the hell, man?
No wonder you bombed at that alt club. It wasn't their fault. It was you.
I think there was talk about me being in Brokeback Mountain, but they decided to put me in Saving Silverman instead. That was kind of an unusual role for me because that was the role. I got it up there, and they give you a description of the character, and it's that of a gay homicidal high school football coach.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, hell, I had never played a gay homicidal high school football coach, so I took this as kind of a challenge,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
And you basically don't even realize that I'm a gay homicidal high school football coach until the very end of the movie, when I married Jack Black.
That's right.
And let me tell you right up front, Jack Black is not a good kisser, and there was no tongue involved. and no reach-arounds either.
But we know who the top was, don't we?
Exactly.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Anyway, it's Saving Private K9.
Yes. Back on point.
Yes.
Back on point.
Is it on tonight?
It's on tonight at 8:30. Don't miss it. I'm telling you. Go to the Sportsman Channel website, sportsmanchannel.com, and just feed your what you call zip code information,
and you'll find out where the channel is.
Exactly what channel
to go to.
We're on.
Arlie, we got phone calls. We got to get to. We got to get to Jason in D.C. Some great calls coming in.
All right,
go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Arlie, I could talk Full Metal Jacket all day long, but I had a quick question about your experience with working with Chevy Chase and Fletch. A lot of actors think he's a dick to work with. And I was just curious about your experience with Chevy.
Well, I'm just going to have to say that a lot of actors are right.
Oh, is there anyone that will say a nice thing about Chevy? I don't think so.
Wow. Who saw that?
Boy, that's a good one. Okay, there's your answer, sir.
All right.
Wow. He was a dick, huh?
He's very difficult to get along with. I've heard from many, many people. We had an episode with him when we were doing a talk show with him.
We sure
and he was just
he wouldn't say hi to us.
Kind of an asshole,
even though we said hi to him. As we're all getting our makeup done at the same time.
I really never ever had any problem with Chevy, but I've encountered people who have.
Yeah.
And, as far as I'm concerned, he was an absolute gentleman with me. I worked with him for a couple of weeks, and
you're a class act, Arlie. You're a class act.
Right. Let's go to Chris in Jersey. Chris.
Hi, Arlie. I wanted to ask you, I heard that Stanley Kubrick had no plans of putting you in Full Metal Jacket and didn't know who you were until you randomly sent in a video of you screaming insults for 5 minutes, which made him decide to put you in it. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I can honestly say you heard absolutely wrong.
Oh.
I talked to Stanley Kubrick. He hired me as technical advisor. I had read the novel that The Short Timers by Gustav Hasford that the film was based upon, the screenplay was based on. And I was reading the book for the second time when Kubrick called me. And he asked me if I would like to be his technical advisor, and I told him there's a lot of things wrong with the novel. So he got me over there. And my objective it was film number 5 for me, guys. And I had gone on films as technical advisor, and every single one of them I ended up with a role. So I went over to get the role of Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. I accepted the job as technical advisor simply to get my foot in the door. There was no video sent anywhere. I went over in person. I had to train, knowing that I have to train all of the background extras. I have to teach them drill. I have to teach them manual at arms with a rifle and the sword. I have to teach them how to march. I have to teach them basically how to be Marine recruits. So Kubrick had to watch me, didn't he?
So he watched you and said, why are we going to cast somebody else?
Well, already casted. It was casted already.
Oh, it was.
However, I made him watch me, and I put it on video that me grilling the recruits, the background extras. The next day, he called me into the office and said, "Yeah, I know what you're." I had asked him if I could audition for the role earlier. He said, "No, I've got a Hollywood actor that I've all got lined up, got a contract."
Who was it? Who was the guy?
I don't want to mention who it was. That's not right for me to after all these years. But I have got him several nice jobs since.
All right. Paul Rubens, actually, it was. It was going to be a no. Pee Wee Herman.
That made it worse.
Yeah, it really did. I got to ask you, the scene where you smack D'Onofrio in the face a couple of times.
Never touched him. No, I didn't hit him. I didn't hit him at all.
When you watch that, it really comes across as you smacking him in the face.
Vince and I worked on this very hard to slap. When I come across with the right hand, I would just barely tick his nose.
Wow.
And flip the top of his hat with my fingertips. When I come back across the other way, it was.
Well, that's one of the greatest gags ever caught on film, because that looks like you smack him very hard.
You smack the shit out of him.
Vince was very, very effective on his responses. He's quick and really good. Now, the slap where I slapped Private Joker, I actually had to slap Private Joker and he asked me to. I didn't do it on, he asked me to slap him because he was having a little trouble responding.
Oh, wow. So he needed that.
And so I did slap Private Joker, but only at his request. And I did not slap him very hard.
Right.
I didn't want to break anything. So I did lay hands on Private Joker. However, yes, Private Mr. Vincent D'Onofrio, we worked on that, and Vincent had great reflexes. There was no question about it. Stanley Kubrick was even thought that I actually slapped him.
Wow, really?
Matter of fact, when we got lined up to do the shot, Stanley told me, "Lee, I've never seen a fake slap that ever has impressed me. You might have to really slap him."
Smack him.
Vincent looked down on me, and Vince's a big man.
Yeah.
Vince's like 6'5". And he looked down at me and he said, "You better not slap me."
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he didn't want to be slapped.
No. Why should he?
Yeah.
We worked on it. I mean, Kubrick, after we did this, we did it one time. And as soon as we finished the slap scene, Kubrick jumped off the camera car and ran up to Vince to find out if he was all right.
Wow. Really?
So do you think it was effective? Yes, of course. Yeah. He was right there. And Leon Vitali, who is Stanley Kubrick's right-hand man, was sitting there, and as I came across with the right, he clapped his hands. And when I came back across with the left, He clapped his hands again. So it gave it that sound of flesh on flesh.
That's amazing.
And Kubrick, I don't know, probably went to his grave thinking that I actually slapped Vincent.
But and that was a great way to show left and right, by the way. Very effective.
Very effective
Very effective way.
That's how you should teach your children, left and right.
It never failed. I'm the guy that says, let the little turd touch the stove. You know?
Teach him.
He'll learn something then. If you sit there and tell, don't touch that stove. Well, he's going to be over there screwing with that stove until he drives you nuts. You know that, right?
If he
Let
burns
the little
himself.
shit go ahead and touch it. I love it. Put your finger in that fan. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Get into a car with a stranger. It's the only way to learn.
One more thing I wanted to ask you, I was curious about on Apocalypse Now. The helicopter scenes, obviously no CGI back then. Did you ever feel, and you've been in some shit before, but did you ever feel that you were in danger during those filmings? Because it's such an unbelievable erratic scene with
There's
those
so
copters
much going
and
on.
demolition going off and.
You always feel that, you know, there's safer places to be, like playing on the freeway in L.A. or something. You know, I'm a firm believer that I shoot high-powered rifles, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer that the safest damn place in the world to be is on the firing line of a rifle qualification.
Right.
Not if you're one of him.
Because
Jesus.
It's all about safety, man. It's all about
enough
safety.
of this, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more dangerous driving a car down the freeway in L.A. than it is to be on the rifle range when there's 100 people shooting at the same time.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to convince the anti-gun people that we need to be able to protect ourselves. I feel vulnerable. When I jump on the airplane, I can't carry my handgun.
Exactly.
And now I'm at the mercy of anybody who wants to approach me on the street and try to get cute with me.
I think
I'm at the mercy of those people.
The Second Amendment is very clear. And I don't know how it's been bastardized and twisted around. We should have the right
to keep and bear arms. What part of that do you need
shall
me to explain?
not be infringed.
Exactly.
It says it right there. And we should have the right to protect ourselves in any way, and our family in any way we deem fit, to the best of our abilities. And it really evens the playing ground when you're able to carry a weapon.
He should be able to protect his 19-year-old girls anyway.
In lieu of family, I will say.
Look, Texas passed a law right to carry, right?
Yes.
Crime went down by 50% overnight. Yes. Who's going to approach you on the street and rob you if they think you might be packing?
Legislating against the people that pay attention to the rules does nothing as far as gun safety goes. Because no one that is going to commit a crime with a gun is going to pay attention to how many rounds they allow in a magazine or how many guns you're able to carry on you, where you're able to carry. They don't pay attention to that shit. What they do is they put people in positions where accidentally they can now become criminals by not adhering to the numerous new rules that are put in place. And then you, as a law-abiding citizen, go out with 8 rounds in your magazine instead of the legal 7, and now you're a criminal.
See, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Guns kill.
No!
But it's really the simplest thing in the world. You have the right to carry. You have the right and bear firearms.
Exactly.
Shall not be infringed upon.
Shall not be infringed.
That's the only rule we need, isn't
I have never seen a more ill-informed group also than the anti-gun people as far as guns go. They know nothing about guns, about gun mechanics, about gun laws. They are some of the most misinformed people
the governor of California who he wrote the gun law, right?
Believe me, we got Cuomo here. He's just as bad.
This jerk was asked on TV that where do you put the rounds in the magazine that you put in a revolver? This guy
That's a good question.
Thought that a revolver had to have a magazine.
Had a magazine.
He's the guy writing the rules.
They don't understand. There was another woman politician. She was talking about gun control and saying that if people use up all the magazines, there won't be any more magazines to use. She had no clue that you could reload the magazine.
But wait a minute, you have a problem with gun control?
Yeah.
Why?
It's not saying get rid of guns. It's saying gun control.
No, it is, by the way. When they say we're not taking your guns away, they're slowly taking your guns away.
And I'm
trying to buy an AR-15 here in New York. What happened? We didn't take your guns away. Yes, you did. You took away my ability.
The latest now thing in California is you're going to have to register your guns.
Yeah.
Each gun. Now, I have over 100 guns. It's going to cost you $60 a year. It's going to cost you $60 a year per gun to register your gun.
Wow. Oh, they want money.
So your gun collection, I've got black powder rifles. I don't have an assault weapon at all. I've got old lever actions, old
you like the old
guns
school
with
stuff.
wood, you know?
Right.
And I'm going to have to pay $60 for each
per
of my
gun.
That's
outrageous.
Just in order to own them.
Could you imagine
if you wanted your show gets a second season?
I can't afford.
Could you imagine if you had to pay in order to speak your mind to somebody, because that's your First Amendment right? It's your Second Amendment right. The way they are infringing on that right is unbelievable.
I think
it's against the Constitution.
No, I think guns kill, and you guys know that.
Both sides are extreme on this.
We know that.
Well, you take away guns, and guns don't kill. I'll tell you, people kill.
Exactly.
So you take away the guns, and you take away the knives. Now, every more murder that we have is going to have his brains bashed in by some kind of a big rock.
Yeah.
Now, how does that sound?
But you're not going to get a mall load of people being hit by that same rock.
And also, too, if you're 20 feet away, that rock is not going to hit you. I'm for guns only because you know what kind of neighborhood I live in.
You know what? If I was in that mall and I had my concealed carry, that there wouldn't be 20 people killed. I will guarantee you there wouldn't be 21.
There have been situations where legal, law-abiding gun owners have thwarted a lot of potentially bad situations. Every day. It's never reported as much as and sensationalized as much as gun
I wanted to bring something up, too.
Yes, sir.
I have a new show coming on.
Yes, of course
it's called Saving Private K9.
Yes.
And it's going to be on tonight at 8:30.
That's right. And I
just thought I'd put that out there.
On the Sportsman Channel, and you made a good point today about the Jews and what they've done wrong. Thank you very much.
I don't think anybody said that.
The Jews get involved here.
I have no idea, sir. I apologize for any misstatements made by this crew in here. Terrible.
All right, let's get Arlie out of
Arlie,
here.
thank you so
Tonight,
much.
Sportsman Channel, 8:30.
Always a pleasure.
Got to be heading out. Guys, it is a pleasure. It always is a pleasure. I'm glad you were obviously watching Fox and Friends this morning and spotted
There it is,
me
right there.
We saw you there and said, get him up here.
Knew I was in town. You know what happens, don't you?
What?
When I open a new show like this, or anybody does, the people who are in charge of getting publicity out there makes phone calls. They call everybody. Of course, your producer introduces it or grabs it, or somebody out in the front office, and all they can say is, looking at the list here, they're all booked up this Thursday. And so you guys never even know I'm in town. Or
probably happens like that, sure. And then we see you on TV. We know you're across the street. Get him over
and
here.
we're never booked up.
But thank God you did see me on TV, and God bless.
All right,
I love
God
you
bless
guys.
you, sir.
Until next time.